And we're going.
Okay. Hi, I'm Alicia from thedizzycook.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make clams at home. I think a lot of people are really intimidated by clams, but you don't have to be. I know I was one of them until I realized how easy it was to make, and they literally take like 7 minutes to make. They tell you when they're done by opening them, and I think the scariest part is buying them and also washing them because you're not really sure what to do with that. So I'm going to show you how to do that today and then how to make them. And this recipe is on my website at thedizzycook.com. It's wine-free clams in like a herbed butter broth. So what we did, we have little neck clams here, and they're just these little guys, and you can get them at I got these at Central Market today, but you can get them at Whole Foods, and they usually always have them in stock. And your fishmonger will check them. If they're open, then they'll check them and they'll tap them a little bit on the counter to see if they close. And basically you want to buy these alive. So it's best to buy them the day you're going to consume them. And then just keep them in a bag that's open in the fridge so that they can breathe. And you can keep them on ice or keep them in the fridge. Just make sure your bag is nice and open so they can still breathe in there. And so...
do you have to worry about them crawling away?
No. They can pretty much stay put.
No?
So this is just how I like to clean mine. I just like to rinse them and scrub them a little bit with a little brush. And then I'm going to put them in this... bowl of ice water. I like to keep it around the same temperature as the clams, but I had to use one of your
whiskey ice balls?
Whiskey ice balls. Since we clean out the fridge for this quarantine we have going on, our freezer is a little bit full,
So we ditched the ice.
We ditched the ice.
Okay.
But your whiskey balls are still in there. So I had to do that. So this basically just removes like grit and sand from them. If you were to put them directly in the pot, they may be kind of gritty, and you don't want to have sand with your clams. That's kind of gross.
So do the clams spit out the water or the sand when they're in the ice bath?
Yes, so that's exactly what's going to happen is as I'm putting them in the ice bath, they basically filter the water through, and they spit out any grit that they have inside. And so you want to keep them in this water bath for just long enough for them to do that, but not die. So in that case, we're just going to do this for like 20 minutes. But you don't want to like store them in water, then they would probably die.
Understood.
Especially in fresh water, because they're used to being in salt water.
Oh, okay.
So some people salt their water, which is fine. I don't find it necessary to do. I also don't like to salt my clams because I feel like they're salty enough already, and the broth gets kind of briny just from them naturally being in it. So yeah, I don't do mine that way.
How many clams would you buy for a single serving?
So for both of us, because you eat a lot, usually buy a little over 2 pounds. I think the recipe is for 2 pounds actually, but it should be enough to serve like 3 people if it's your full meal. But then a lot of people like to serve this as an appetizer with some crusty bread, like before, or you could do it along with like linguine or something like that and make it into a more hearty meal than just this with bread. But what we're doing tonight is we're just putting these in with a big green salad.
So clams are more than just an excuse to consume bread with melted butter.
I mean, I like bread with melted butter and like a rich herby broth, so.
Right.
You know, I'm not sure. I will say the guy at Central Market today, he did a really good job. All of these guys are closed. But as you're going through, if you find one that's just slightly open, you just want to check it. And you can do that by tapping it a little bit on your counter. And when that happens, it should close right up. If it doesn't close right up, then just toss it because you don't want to get sick. So I think that's what scares people about clams, is they're worried about getting a dead one. But it shouldn't be. I mean, it's a pretty dead giveaway. No pun intended. But if they aren't closing up after you tap them, and give them a second or two to close, but or you know, a few seconds. But if they're wide open and they're not closing, then it's a pretty sure bet that they're dead. And the same thing when you cook them. After you cook them, if one hasn't opened after enough time, especially after giving it, there you always have a few late bloomers. But if it hasn't opened at all or just a tiny bit, I always throw it out just to be safe. But usually, I mean, this one's a really good batch, but usually I only find like 2 at the most when I'm going through this. So I think most people are pretty good about getting you a live clam, at least from what I found.
You need to worry about seasonality with clams, or?
Actually, I don't know that. I guess I should. I don't think so. And honestly, they're really great to have right now while we're in this quarantine mess, because I just made it. I got all my other groceries that freeze and everything, like chicken and stuff, but no one's picking up clams right now. So I was first in line, and yeah, it's like a nice change of pace from chicken all the time. Okay, so the clams are done. They've been in the water for 20 minutes. And now I'm just gonna, I have some shallots that I chopped up, 2 shallots. And I'm gonna crush up these cloves of garlic really quick. Oh, and I'm gonna melt butter over here. So this is 3 tablespoons of butter. You want a pretty large, heavy bottom pot there.
If you wanted to mince the garlic, could you do that as well?
Yeah.
By hand, yeah.
Sure. Do your garlic however you want. I like a lot of garlic. These are pretty big cloves. But
So not a dish to make on your first date, is what you're saying.
between the shallots and garlic, probably, well, you know, if you have a date that likes garlic, then sure. Thankfully, I didn't date any well.
Don't want to go there? Save that for another video?
Yeah, we won't go there tonight. The butter. This is when everything starts to smell really good. Ooh, la la. You just want to cook these down for a bit. You don't want your garlic to burn, but just so till the shallots get a little translucent and everything starts to smell really good. And that'll be a minute or 2. And I have my clams over here. I just drained them and just patted them dry with an old towel. This is starting to smell amazing. And then I have a little bit of vegetable broth here that I'm gonna pour in eventually once this cooks down a little bit more.
What do you say, cook the onions and shallot for a couple minutes?
Yeah, say like maybe 2 minutes or so. That's my bread in the oven. Crusty bread. Which is essential.
Just as essential as the clams.
Yeah. So a lot of recipes like to use lemon, and lemon is considered a migraine trigger on a migraine diet. It's not a trigger for everyone. It wasn't a trigger for me. But if you're in a migraine elimination diet, then you are supposed to get rid of it keep it out of your diet for a few months until you start noticing an improvement with your migraine days, and then you can try to reintroduce foods.
You kept lemon out of your diet when you first started this.
I did. I kept lemon out of my diet the whole time, and then I reintroduced it, and I found out it wasn't a trigger for me. It's not a super common trigger. Like, you hear of people having an issue more with like aged meats or aged cheese. A lot of people seem to have an issue with yogurt, which is one of my big triggers. Caffeine, sometimes it helps people, sometimes it hurts people. I'm one of those people it hurts. I can't do caffeine. But I find citrus is kind of like a medium trigger for people. And then it just depends on the amount you use as well. Like, maybe people could tolerate a little bit of lemon zest versus lemonade or something like that. So I never like tried any super lemony things, but I seem to do okay with it on fish, and so that's really nice because it's one of those things that's kind of hard to eliminate for a long time.
How about a shot of limoncello?
Have we tried limoncello since?
I don't think so.
We have some. So we took our honeymoon in Italy. This is almost done, but we took our honeymoon in Italy, and they have like limoncello with every meal, or at least the places we went to did.
On the Amalfi Coast.
Yeah, and so we brought some back, and it's in our freezer, and it's been in our freezer for a while, but we haven't really opened it.
Broken it out yet.
Yeah, not since I was diagnosed with chronic migraine, so we might have to try that out.
Maybe.
I'll report back. Okay, so this is pretty good. So this is kind of what it looks like. See how the shallots are a little translucent, and the garlic, it's not brown, but it just cooked down a little bit, kind of softened. That's what you want it to look like. And then you're gonna add your broth. And you can make your own vegetable broth. I have a good recipe in my new cookbook, or you can use chicken broth too if you have that. This is vegetable broth, but whatever kind of broth you have on hand, I just wouldn't use beef broth. If you had like seafood stock that you like to make on your own, I've never really checked a lot of seafood stocks in the store. I'm sure they have hidden MSG too, but if you want to use that, you could definitely use that if you want. I just like to use vegetable broth. I think it tastes really good, especially with butter. You have butter, you have garlic in here. You really don't miss the lemon in it. I think it tastes delicious on its own. So I like to bring this to a simmer before putting in the clams. So
Wait for the simmer.
okay, so this is actually starting to boil a little bit, but simmering a little bit. And this is how you want it to look. Just small bubbles here. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot of broth for all of these clams, but I promise you that so the clams will give off some juices too as they cook. So this will pretty much double, I think, in liquid in here. So you just put them in gently. You don't want them to break or the shells break or anything like that. Mind your fingers.
Don't want to burn them.
Yeah, not that they bite. You don't want to burn them.
Still alive, but not biting.
Yeah. So here they're all in there, nestled nicely. We're just gonna put them to bed for a little bit. That'll still simmer, it'll come back up. You can see kind of on the edges, it's starting to bubble a little bit. So you want this on medium heat, and you're just gonna cover it with a tight fitting lid. And you'll time it for like 6 or 7 minutes. And when that's over, we're gonna check them and make sure that they opened. I think, yes, they're done, look at that. They're all open.
Yay, we're done!
That's so sad. Okay, so I'm not quite finished with everything. We're just gonna scoop them out. Again, just double check that they're all opened up. These guys look great. They gave me really good clams, which is exciting. That's because no one's buying them right now.
Coco's excited too.
She's hoping something drops. Okay. Did you get a good shot of these?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you want it to come out without the sauce. We're going to reduce the sauce a little bit. And see how much juice they kind of gave off. Really good. Okay. So just leave them there. Those will stay warm for a while. And then we're gonna bring this back up to like medium-high heat and just kind of boil it down so all the flavors kind of get together and it's not so watery, it's more saucy. If you want to, what you can do is add a little bit of heavy cream because we're going a lot tonight. Well, you can add a little bit in there. But if you want this to be dairy-free, you don't have to. It's good either way.
This is more just to thicken and to add flavor.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of decadence, I guess. And then you just want that to cook down as well.
How long do you say it usually takes?
I don't know, just a few minutes. It really doesn't take that long.
You have it on high heat?
Yeah, I have it on like medium-high. I'm trying to speed it up for the people. Ooh, that's hot.
They can also click the increase speed playback on YouTube.
And then also, we have some herbs here. We have like fresh parsley, Italian parsley that I've chopped, and some fresh chives. So we're just gonna add that to the pot as this cooks down. And that's what's gonna make this an herbed butter broth. I would definitely taste it before you add salt because again, like the clams are already kind of salty and briny, so I don't think it usually needs more salt. But if you like your salt, then you can add it. I would just take a little spoonful and taste it. And then I'm gonna add some pepper too. Do that here. Just a few grinds of it. You can see it's already pretty much reducing down. Okay, so then try not to burn yourself. Pour the broth over the clams. Like that. Look how great that is. Oh my gosh. Don't they look awesome?
Looks fantastic. And smells fantastic.
Yeah.
Smell better than they look.
And that's it. That's clams in a wine-free butter broth.
Add your bread and you've got a meal.